Good evening, everybody. Give this a minute to go live. There we go. Oh, hang on, I gotta mute that. There we go. All right, if you guys can hear me, throw a comment down below. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Can hear you. Thank you. Very good. Welcome, Art and Quartz. Glad you're here. And Stormy Ocean. My computer is making lots of loud noises. It's old. It's about, unfortunately, I'm afraid it's about time to replace it. I don't really want to have to drop the money to buy it, but that's what we have to do. When the time comes, that's what we have to do. Might be able to hear the hissing. If I randomly mute, if I randomly mute you guys, it's Megan's on her way back, and I've got the kids, so I've got the monitor on for the youngest right now, and that's what you hear. All right. The question is, what are we building? So we're actually not going to do Lego tonight. We're going to do something else. So, for those of you who saw the previous video, we talk about the 3D wood airship. Got this from Megan for Christmas, and so I don't know that we'll build all of it tonight. Don't know how long we're going to go tonight. I've got several of these. Some are like some aren't. And what you're hearing is I'm right at the range of the baby monitor. Somebody said, "Oh, Snoopy, yeah, here's my Oklahoma State Snoopy, a Snoopy bobblehead." I also have somebody brought it to me from overseas. I've got a little turtle bobblehead too. That from the trip overseas. Gosh. I'm right at the range of the Wi-Fi transmission of the Wi-Fi transmission, the radio transmission of the camera. So let's go and get this going. We'll get going. So good evening, everybody. Don't know that I'll have a huge viewership tonight. There's a rather important college football game on at the moment. But Megan and Thing One had a birthday party this evening. And they're on their way back from there. We'll be doing that all night, I'm afraid. It's a bit of a massacre. Yeah, I don't think I've watched a single snap of it. In fact, the last several days have been so busy today. I apologize for my absence. I try not to be gone this often, but unfortunately, or fortunately, either way, on January 2nd, I had a very, very mild, no big deal medical procedure, and I'm still recovering from that. So decided I needed to take a couple of days off while I healed from that. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. Is Oregon up or is I forget who Oregon was playing. So I opened the box. It came in this really it's first one. I've never built one from this company, but it comes in this nice little box. So Indiana, that's right. Indiana's up. Okay. Forgot who they were playing. Oregon versus Indiana. That's right. check the chat here. It's good night for a stream. Got my ice cream, Racy, some Legos. Well, not quite Legos, but we're in the same vein. We're still building. That's what matters. What I do have to be a little bit careful of is as I tear the shrink wrap open, I have to be super duper careful because this is some of it's balsa and some of it's plywood. So I've got to be real careful so as to not bend it in the corner into a way that's not, there you go, salvageable. So if you've never done any of these, especially 3D wooden puzzles, dadgummit. They're really kind of cool. They always tend to come with some sort of, in this case, it's a really fine. The very different directions than Lego. Well, Lego, I mean, they are of course numbered step 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And it does, which is cool. They didn't have these last time. The last time I did one of these is relatively new. If you look here, I realized that my camera's in mirror mode. There's a QR code, and if you scan that QR code, there's videos. This step being completed, presumably by one of their factory designers, actually. There's page 1, page 2 on the back there, and if you look at parts, yeah, here's the parts are all numbered. Keep it focused for you guys. So, oh, all right. So we have, and this one is a relative. This one's only got 4 plates. They tend to rate these on a scale of 1 to 5. As far as difficulty, this is rated difficulty 1. So this is relative. Doggone it. Meg should be about home. Let me look and see where she is. At the bypass? Yeah, she's almost here. She's almost here. About 4 miles away. She's almost here. And so, and here's the picture of what we're building. 3D. Not a ton of this tonight, but that's okay. I need to go back and change a back-end setting on this thing. So give me just a second here, guys. You jump here to that's the back end. That's my end. YouTube. And then I need to look at content. Gotta check something here. That's better. Okay. It is like a Zeppelin elephant. It very much is. Yeah, good catch. So your audio cuts out right before it beeps every time. Yeah. I've got a delay built into my audio console, which is it's in this drawer. I got audio. And so I have part of it is running through there. But also, I have a gate that anytime there's a loud sound, it'll actually close the gate and then reopen after for just a split microsecond, and then so I need pieces A1, A4, A3. And so it's all perforated. A1. Oh, hush. Dirty hillbilly. Then 4. Are these all A4? No. Here's is it 2 A4s? It's at least 2 A4s. So there's an A4. And there's an A4 right there. 1, 2. Those are the A4s. And an A3. Which one's the A3? See, this one right here, this is where you got some of this piece right here has some really thin walls. So you just got to be real cognizant. Gosh, that pop clean. I almost need reading glasses to do this. Oh, hang on, something came unmuted. Hang on, guys. Not sure how that happened, but something came unmuted. Sorry. Oh, you know what it is? I can do it here. I can actually mute that at the source. There we go. We can solve that problem. Gary Mackey, good evening, brother. Been a long time. Glad you're here. Hey, Oklahoma had the first tornadoes of 2026 yesterday or 2 days ago, maybe something like that, like super recently, and much earlier in the season than is reasonable. It went through Pottawatomie County. 2 of them and hooked up and then ran up over into North Lincoln County. Got a friend of mine who's a storm spotter in that area, but he had a medical procedure, so he's currently a bit laid up. Okay. Sorry, I realize you guys can't see this. Ah, yeah. See, there's my error. Then we take this one, and it slides into that detent. I think. Not sure that's right. Hey. No, Gary, Mama just got here, and I've got the baby monitor, and I'm just at the edge of the range of the effective range of the monitor, which is kind of what you're hearing there. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, it kind of came back to life. And then let's see. No, not quite. Yeah, not quite the trash truck, but not too far off either. Glad to see you, Gary. Been a long time. For those who don't know, my 3 mods, Gary and Art and Quartz and Laura, have been keeping me apprised of the YouTube world in my absence. And I very much greatly. Appreciate that. I'm trying to figure out. That doesn't quite be that. So it shows them at the 9 o'clock position. Let's see. Oh, Lord. This is where it can be just a little bit finicky. Gary, I was over in your neck of the woods not all that long ago. Over the holidays. We ended up having to go. You know where I live, Gary. We ended up having to go, drive from where I live to a suburb of Fort Smith, and there are two ways to get there. And one took us right around your neck of the woods. This piece is giving me a little bit of an attitude adjustment. It looks like it's just being just finicky enough. Is it not receiving and not sliding that clean? No, it is. Well, we were just literally just passing through the area on our way to essentially Poto. It's right here. The computer's not loving it. Last couple of streams, the computer started getting real hot. Put your hand back there. Back here. All the way down. Yeah, we'll have to look at it. The Zeppelin. Megan sends her regards. Gary's joining us for the first time since I've been back on tonight. I told him not too long ago we weren't too far from his neck of the woods when we were headed to Poto. We're over there. They're getting a Popeyes over where Gary is. Next time I'll treat you to a full 3-course dinner. Thanks, Gary. Great. Okay. Does she drink any water? Before or after? Okay. There. This piece, I just keep it. It sits on. It's gonna drive me a little bit crazy. It's all right, Gary. You'll be all right. This one's just a little bit finicky. I don't love how tight that gap is. You know what? Maybe just maybe. I didn't quite line this up just right. Yeah, that's gonna make all the difference right there. Yeah, I bet that makes all the difference. I'll find the 3 and the 9 o'clock positions on these. Not as much difference as I was hoping it would make for sure. I was finally able to introduce Mr. Art to Steak and Shake. He's in the most of the Steak and Shakes I grew up with are gone now. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. Where's the piece 82? Here it is. Love Steak and Shake. We got a Freddy's. Yeah, there's a Freddy's down here. Not too far from, uh, like kind of on my way to work almost. But I'll look at the picture here. So I'm struggling a little bit with this. Yeah, so they converge underneath. That's the other side. Yeah, Freddy's burgers aren't bad. And Thing Two has a bunch of food allergies, and that's one of the places that generally Thing Two can eat. We'll see how long that holds. Thing Two has a milk allergy, and not it actually has a they actually have a condition called FPIES, which is the inability to break down certain proteins. Certain proteins found in milk, as well as an egg allergy. And Thing One has an egg allergy, so we figured out how to navigate the egg allergy. The milk allergy is much more difficult to navigate. That does not look right. Is it A4? Question is then, are we sure it's A4? It was A4 in that orientation, I guess. All right, let's see. I need an A9. Which one is this one right here? What's the orientation? Just like that. Then I need to take my little sandpaper here. I need to do the same thing on the bottom too. Yeah, there's not a Steak and Shake close to me now. When we lived in Oklahoma City, up in the metro area, there was though. Been eating our weight in hot chicken. I'm not sure the reference are, but that's okay. And I need B1. That's my D sheet. This ought to be my B sheet. It is. There's B1. So we got to be a little bit careful here. news in Iran. For if I've got any regular viewers or some of my old school viewers, rather, let me know if you want me to go back and do my world this week stuff with Stan. He and I sit on the board of a local education foundation here in town, or he serves on a board that I oversee. I guess would be a better statement. Anyway, he and I were talking about it leading as we were getting ready for our last board meeting. He's retired now, and he asked if we were still going to do it, and I said I'd like to. So let me know if you guys want me to restart the world this week stuff with Stan. I got, I got one new favorite. Okay, so this is print inside. Oh, this is cool. I like their sequence on this. This is gonna be a cool sequence. And then 10, no 12, 8 with my age. This is cool. It's like this is one of the cool build techniques here. So we have A10s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's gonna be all of them. And one of my students, her brother-in-law's sister, is a Thunderbird pilot for the Air Force Thunderbirds, their F-16 flight demonstration team, and also happens to be the Thunderbird pilot who had to eject over California a few weeks back. That's kind of cool to get to say you got family who's a Thunderbird. That's just pretty darn cool. Well, I will let Dr. Stan know that the masses miss him, and he and I will work on getting together some more programming for you guys. Since Dr. Stan is in demand, I'm sure he'll appreciate the humor. There you go. Here. Let's see. So this build is this little thing here is going to be just a little bit tricky. Let's see. I guess we'll come back to that one after I figure out how this piece works. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I see how this works. It uses the friction and one around it. Gary, I don't know if you get our local newspaper up there where you are, but there was a big article that ran about the cool stuff my kids are doing at the high school. We had the local news and everybody come do a whole thing on it. It was cool. They tried to interview me, and I said, "Listen, there's nothing I can say that's going to help this. Y'all need to talk to those kids over there. Y'all need to go talk to those students because those are the ones that are going to be benefiting from this program." So I said, "I don't know if you get our local paper there, but it's I'll tell you what, local newspapers are they're a dying breed. Local small town newspapers are not. Fewer and fewer of them are locally owned. More and more of them are being bought up by these regional publishers. You know, print media is dying. And the world still needs good newspaper men. We still do. The world still needs Bob Woodwards and Carl Bernsteins and all that kind of stuff. The world still needs those folks. Zach, tell a happy story, please. Okay. Um, a happy story. Trying to think if I got anything just off the top of my head. An odd request. Not that I can't accommodate it. Just a bit odd. I started doing stand-up comedy. I don't know if that's happy or not. If you live relatively close to me, you can catch me down at the Comedy Arena in McKinney, Texas, on the occasional open mic night. So I think that's happy. All my jokes are happy. I don't. A couple of things. All my jokes, first, are true, and two, are happy, in my opinion. It's hard to have. It's hard to have comedy that's not happy. Sort of by definition, it kind of requires happiness. Before we get happy, Zach, any word on that sweet little girl that was swept away a year ago, December of this? No, no, Gary. Unfortunately, of course, they found they were able to recover her dad, um, but they never were able to recover her. The floodwaters were just too swift and too aggressive. It wasn't from a lack of effort. The local law enforcement, first responders, and volunteers, including the guy here in town who is a commercial scuba diver, spent hours, hundreds of hours under that water in December, January, trying to recover her, Clara. They never did. They never did find her. The search was then handed off to Texas EquiSearch, which is a nonprofit dedicated to, and it's Texas EquiSearch. They actually search all over the country. They provide. It's a nonprofit that provides search and rescue resources, horseback, motorized, scuba, just elbow grease, labor. People walking, and anyway, they searched. That was handed over to them, I think, sometime in February, maybe late January even. Um, and they searched until April, late April actually, um, and they were unable to find. The water was just too high and too fast, um, and it was right up along and near the Red River on the Texas Oklahoma boundary. So, yeah, there is a an agenda item at the next school board meeting though. So her dad Will was the high school basketball coach, high school girls basketball coach, and so there's a school board item or agenda item at the next school board meeting to rename the high school gymnasium after the Robinson family. So if there is good in that story, well, the story is tragic, but out of that arose and continues to arise much good. It's now that the little girl went to one of the local elementary schools. Mom and dad both worked for the local school district, and it's it, it's been hard for the community, but the community has rallied, and the standard that was set in April of 1995, which became known as the Oklahoma Standard, took over, and Oklahoma does what Oklahomans did, what Oklahomans do, and that is they upheld the Oklahoma Standard. Yeah, you say that, and I was actually digging through emails the other day and actually found an email that Will, the little girl's dad, who was basketball coach, Will had sent me an email asking me to referee something for him, and I showed up. I realized I never actually responded to his email. I showed up and worked the game, but a little bit of a twang of guilt because I felt like I shouldn't say I was. You're never too busy to do something. It's just a choice, but made the choice not to respond because in my own mind, I was too busy to respond to that email, and I showed up and refereed the game. Wasn't a big deal, but just a common courtesy to say, "Yeah, sure, I'll be there. We'll see you then, coach." Little things like that. So, and there's a lot of grumpy coaches out there that make refereeing hard, but Bill wasn't one of them. Good evening, Laura. Yeah, Gary, I'm not sure if you're on social media. Most of it was covered after the subsequent days and weeks weren't covered necessarily by the media. They were covered by social media, but not by the traditional print and video media, print and television media. I'll tell you what, Will's widow is just an incredibly strong person, but I just don't understand why there's people in this world that are this way. But you know, when I first got on YouTube, and especially first started getting monetized and had a little bit of momentum on the channel, I had to learn not to go back and read the chats. And if I did decide to read the chats, I had to learn how to just take it on the chin, because it doesn't matter what you say. Somehow, some way, I'm going to irritate somebody somewhere, and I know that. I can't make everybody happy. You know what they say. Got too many bosses and can't make them all happy. So, you know, I had to learn when I was playing basketball in high school and in college. We had to learn how to not read our own press. Day after a game, 2 days after a game, I'd get the local sports section and start reading it and try to figure out, what were they writing about me and my teammates and the points we scored, and what was my stat line, what was my box score. And it's easy to do that when you have a good night and you go for 22 points and 15 rebounds and 5 blocks and your team wins by 30. But when I had an off night and I hadn't played well and didn't score a lot of points and didn't play good defense and just had a game to forget about, I didn't want to go read the paper. But I had to learn that if you're going to read the press, you got to read all the press, just not the good press. Good evening, Sharon. Glad you're here. And Gary, do you know any of the Matthews, last name Matthews, in the Antlers area, just out of curiosity? They've got some kinfolk down here where I live. I'm just curious. I have one of the, could be a niece, could be a granddaughter or something, but I've got one of those. I got one of their grandkids or nieces in class. I was just curious if you know. Because Antlers isn't that big a town. Sharon says, "What are we building?" Good question, Sharon. We are building that right there. If I can ever get this last piece to sit into the slot, right? It's trying. And Laura, I don't know if I responded, but travel safe on your way home if you have to get off before I do. Travel safe. One particular piece is being just a little bit finicky. There it went. There we go, right there. So this is the first piece we had here. Well, actually, this is the first piece we had. So we took this piece, we sanded the edges down, and we took that backing plate on it, and there we go. And so if you look here, what we just assembled is that belt right there. So then I take this, make sure I have my orientation right. orientation should be like that. Oh, doggone it. Yeah, we'll have to talk off the thread, Gary. I don't guess I know where your home area is as it relates to antlers, but I don't want you to put yourself on blast out here on the internet world if you don't want to. I'll have to follow up with you on that. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, so we made it. You guys did not. I made an error. And the problem is, because this is wood, it has a relatively high coefficient of friction, so it tends to stick together often much better than I wish it would, I'm afraid. Let me look at the long-term effect. Is it going to adversely affect anything long-term? It certainly doesn't look like it. It'll just be slightly off-center, which I'm kind of okay with, I guess. Let's see. There it went. All right, Sharon, I don't think anybody has mentioned that, but I will certainly keep that in mind. I tend to not pay as close attention to the microphone when I'm building, so I will make a concentrated or a concerted effort, I should say, to make sure that I stay amplified for you. I'm looking at some audio solutions to create some more ASMR videos. Not that this microphone is not good for that, but like I'd love to have I have a multi-channel mixer over here at my elbow, so I can handle multiple inputs. I'm looking for a mic solution, a microphone solution that would allow me to have a microphone on this, because I actually get, oddly enough, and I'm not sure what it is, but oddly enough, I get multiple requests. Sorry, I get multiple requests per week for more ASMR content. And I don't think I've ever intentionally done any ASMR. I think it's been unintentional ASMR content. So I'm trying to figure out how to thread that needle. I would like to satisfy that request. It doesn't seem terribly unreasonable to me. So I'm going to do my best to try and execute that request if I can. I just have to figure out what that audio solution looks like. It says, getting too old to be off gallivanting by myself as I've always done, staying close to home for support and purpose. Well, good. Yeah, you've definitely earned the right to hang out with that family of yours, G. Then I need 8 A5s. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I only need 8 of them for now, and that's okay. Occasionally, sometimes, much like Lego, sometimes these wooden models come with an extra part or two, especially if it's hard to get out or it's prone to breaking or whatever. I actually had Thing One a couple of years ago, maybe about 18 months ago, help me with one of these. We had to have a conversation about coming up with techniques if a piece were to get jammed or something in here and it wouldn't break free. How can we get it out? Because it is soft, unsealed wood. if your hands are wet or if you lick your fingers or something, then it's going to really be quite difficult because the wood will begin to swell. So you have to be a little bit mindful of that. There's one. Oh, come on, get out of there. There it went. Good. Yeah, so I've never put out an intentional ASMR video, and I don't hear it when I listen to my own voice, but by any measure, we don't ever sound the same in our own head as we do to other people. Like, as I sit here and talk, and then I go back and watch my videos or something after the fact, or go back and edit a video or something, like, I can't believe I sound like that. I sound like an idiot. And I mean, relative to the part of the country, specifically the part of the state that I live in, I don't have much of an accent. But compared to a lot of the rest of the US, I certainly do. And I've done my best to get rid of it. But as they say, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? Oops, that didn't sit in there right. I guess which, yeah, that's right. Let's see. I've got an overtime shift that starts at midnight. Need a little nap. Good to see you going back. Hey, Gary, be safe. Appreciate you hanging out with us, brother. Be safe. Yeah, the tolerances on this one aren't quite as smooth as I'm used to. But it's hard to have exactly precise tolerances when you're dealing with wood because it is so subjective to swelling or changes in temperature and humidity. So it can, as finicky as it can be, and like this right here, what we're working on now is a little bit finicky. It's not bad. But I'll actually stop doing the 3D, the wooden ones. I'll stop the progress I'm at a lot earlier in the night than I will Lego, just because the margin for error is relatively small. There are no spare parts. If I put Lego together in the wrong order, I can just tear it apart and start over. These are unforgiving. If you once a lot of these, because they're friction hold, once you get them in, they're there. They're not coming off. Let's see. Earlier in the fall, like early, like September, maybe October, somewhere around in there, I was actually asked to go into one of our history classes at the high school and help teach students how to take notes. It was one of the advanced placement history classes. And it boggles my mind that some of these kids don't know how to take notes, but then I realized they have to learn. If nobody's ever taught them, they can only be accountable for the material to which they've been exposed. And if no one has ever showed them or taught them how to take notes, we can't expect them to inherently know that. I mean, just simply jotting something down to remember a conversation occurred is not necessarily the type of note taking that we're referring to. It's writing down stuff of significance, being able to use that to put that material later into an outline, use that outline to study for the exam. Like, you know, just looking back, I didn't really know how to take notes until I got. That's where I learned how to really for like substance take notes on material things and then was a concept. It was a skill I learned. It had to be taught to me. Art, when I was teaching graduate students, I was appalled at the level at how poor the quality of the writing was, even for these people who were seeking a master's degree. I don't expect them to write at the level, but I do expect them to not switch tenses. Like that's a good first step. Or start a sentence with me and him. And then when I say, hey, you need to correct your grammar, the revision I get says him and me, or him and I, whatever it was. Well, I put him first, yeah, but you still didn't right. And it's not like these students were 22 years old at undergrad or something. No, most of these were working. Every one of them was a working adult, working at a government installation, military installation, highly technical jobs, engineering, maintenance, or something. And how? I mean, and these people are briefing government officials, high-ranking military officials, people with lots of gold and silver on their uniforms. Surely you're not turning something like this into the colonel, or even to the 1 or the 2-star. Like, Tinker Air Force Base in Midwest City is the Air Force Material Command, and the honcho over all of that's a 3-star general out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So some of this stuff was making it to even the Pentagon. Thinking, boy, what are we doing? And I hear you, Art. I do. Um, my counterpoint of my degree, I really think comes down to they're still learning the skill set, and I think there are some exceptions, such as technical writing, academic writing, and legal writing. So, writing a dissertation, writing a research paper, writing for a journal or something. Of course, the legal writing, lawyers, judges, appellate courts, etc. And then, technical writing, engineers and engineering manuals, maintenance manuals, that sort of thing that require a high degree of precision writing. But I think the ability to write precisely, conduct argument in a written form, while still important, I think the significance of it is going to go away, or certainly become less significant. There's going to be some. I'm not downplaying the whole thing. There are going to be some careers where that is and will always be a necessary and required component of the degree or of the occupation, rather. And so it is something that, you know, academia needs to watch. I'm certainly not trying to downplay the importance of it. Well, I guess I am trying to downplay the importance of it to a point, simply because it's going to become less significant in certain fields. I also think for those people who are seeking opportunities in the fields such as engineering, academia, and legal, where such writing is necessary, I think the writing skills should, at some point, become a basis for admission. You know, if you don't have the requisite writing skill, sorry, I'm looking. If you don't have the requisite writing skill, are you really ready for the degree? Oh, I only punched 7 of them out. That's why, right? Yeah, I only punched 7 of them out. That's like no, I just never punched it out. And I've worked with some, you know, I'm like I think I've said it before on this channel, even just in the last few weeks. I'm a good writer. I'm, but I'm not a great writer. I've worked with and practiced law both with and against very good writers. Now, on the average, my oral advocacy, my oral argument that I give, whether I'm examining a witness, taking a deposition, that's pretty good. That's better, especially I got to where I was better than average. You know, really good, and in certain areas of law, I was great, where I really understood the law, and I, of course, knew my facts. Okay, so that part is done. Oh boy. So I put this diagram right at the fold of the paper. So I have to unfold the sheet here. I need 2 C2s. This is my A sheet. This is my B sheet. So here's my C sheet. I need 2 C2s. No, that's my D sheet. This is my C sheet right here. I need a C2. C2 right here. You guys have any? I got 13 of you. I had 13 of you. I got a few less now. Jump in here if you have questions. Jump in here and ask them. I'm at least planning. I have no reason to believe I won't go live tomorrow night. Oh, get this back up here. Tomorrow night as well. We may be finishing this build or talking about something else. I don't know. I'll figure that out as tomorrow plays out. And for those who were late joining us, I didn't do a video. I didn't do a live for a little over a week because on January 2nd, I had a small medical procedure. I'm fine. It was a prophylactic thing. It was a preventative thing. I'm fine. I'm recovering well. In fact, I had a procedure on Friday, January 2nd, and I was back at work on Monday, January 5th. So, you know, I'm fine. Just, you know, didn't want to come on if I wasn't at full strength to do a video. So that's where I was. But as I've stated, I was fine. Now I need B5, 6, 7, and 12. I need B5, 6, 7, and 12. So here's, actually, this whole thing is going to come out. So it's going to do right there. This is B6. This little bitty outer ring, got to be careful trying to get to this one or it's going to break. It's real tempting for that to break. There it goes. Oh, come on, get out. And mods, Lori and Art and Court, since Gary's gone. You remember the air traffic controller from Alaska? I can't remember his screen name, and YouTube changed all these screen names and stuff. But has anybody seen him on any chats in a while? I haven't seen him since I shut the channel down previously. Just curious if anybody had heard from him at all. So I have B6, B7, both C2s. I need a B5, a B12, and a B5 and a B12, I guess. Let's look at B5. That's this one here. It's not Alex. I'm trying to remember what his name was. He was a Marine, and used to be an air traffic controller in Charlotte, and then recently moved to Anchorage. B5, and which one's B12? This one. Be careful with that one. That one's real thin. Don't have a big margin for error on this piece either. There we go. IDK James, you're absolutely right. Yep, that's absolutely right. IDK James, yep. And the thing is, when I go to look these folks up to find out, like, hey, I'd love to be able to, I'd love to have him on the channel. I want to ask him some questions about the helicopter midair over DC. Like, I'd love to have him on, but I don't. And understandably so, when I go to look up these people, I can't always find them because I don't know if their screen names are legit or if they're not legit. But I also understand why they are hesitant to make their information known. I mean, I have to end up censoring some stuff. I have to end up changing some facts. I have to end up changing some scenarios to protect the innocent, to protect my family. Yeah, that's really when I started wondering about him, was during the shutdown, because those controllers were just working with no respite. So I take C2 and I take B7. Yeah, there were lots of mistakes made in that. I'm not sure what the NTSB's probable cause is going to be, but at least a nominal amount of that of the error is going to be on the controller there. But I think there's also a legitimate question about some of the responsibility being on not just the helicopter pilot, but on the pilot of the CRJ as well, the regional jet. Right now, my Aviation 1 students, mainly freshmen, but not all. I have some upperclassmen too, but my Aviation 1 students right now are working through aircraft crash investigation, accident investigation, and the role of the NTSB. So apparently it's happened a number of times. Yeah, it has. It's not. To say it's common is a misnomer because it's not common. Relative to the number of motor vehicle accidents, aviation accidents are very, very low relative to the number of motor vehicle or even truck accidents. The problem is it has gotten so safe that any time you have an incident or an accident or some adverse happening, some adverse going on, it's going to make all of the news, not just some of the news, not just the local news. It's going to make all the news around the world. And then this one, right? Is that B5? It is B5. Then it goes here. I'm trying to come up with a camera solution too, because right now I've got my webcam is just pointed straight down. I need to figure out if that's the right solution for these builds. I used a different type of fisheye lens when I was doing my Lego builds down in the living room before I had the studio ready and sort of put together, and it fixed the internet connectivity issues, and that was okay. It required a lot of light, so it's kind of bound. I mean, inevitably, every camera is going to require light. That's the only way the image gets into the aperture, but still, I still got some troubleshooting to do to try and figure out what the best option is. And then does the C2 go in the same place underneath? It does. They're mirror images of each other. Boy, you gotta be real careful with this one too. In hindsight, it probably would have been better to attach each of these levels to both sets of spars. All right, let's try this process again here. Good evening, Art and Courts. Be safe. You probably have kids coming to see you, students coming to see you on Monday, would be my guess. So have a lovely evening. Be safe. We'll see you next time. And then I want this one. Oh, Lord have mercy. Wearing myself out down here. I may end up having to put my reading glasses on tomorrow and do this. Some of this stuff is a little bit harder to see than I thought it might be. There it goes. That's better. And then this one. Oh, Lord. All right, this is starting to irritate me. So what we're going to do here in just a second. I guess I was doing it right the first time, despite my best efforts. Restrictions, ladder go. Ladder goes up. I'm not really going to have a choice. I'm going to have to do it this way. There we go. That's better. All right. So I got that part done. If I can get this rib to line up correctly without me wanting to lose all my religion, I'm going to call it a night. Because I had to drive 2 hours to my dentist today, get the old pearly white scrubbed. Then I had to drive 2 hours back from my dentist, finish out my day at work, handle half of the children. I am worn out. I've been adulting all day. Can you believe that? Having an adult all day, isn't that just the worst? I tell you what. Yeah, that's a good stopping place. That's step 2. So we got through step 1. We got through step 2. And then if you look in the center, see if I can get this line up right. There's a slot right there in the center. We're going to build a long shaft that comes out, and that's actually going to tie these pieces together like this. All right. We'll shut her down. Listen, I appreciate everybody coming out. Do me a favor if you haven't already, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. I have memberships available also, and hit that bell notification so you're notified every time we go live. Appreciate everybody coming out. Do me a favor. Be kind to somebody. Talk to you soon.